Hey everyone, welcome to the second edition of NoDQ Live here on the NoDQ Facebook page. The on-demand version will be on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift_NoDQ. Thank you guys for tuning in live on Facebook. If Kurt Angle returned for one more match, who would you want him to face? This is from Chad Rico. I would love to see Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles in a WWE ring. We saw it in TNA, but we never got to see it in WWE, and I think that that would be amazing. I would love to see Angle versus AJ at WrestleMania. To me, that would be one of the all-time greatest WrestleMania matches ever. Richard Atkinson asked me about the Raw ratings being very low. This past week, Raw ratings were down significantly from the previous week because of football, which is not a surprise at all, but I expected the ratings to be near an all-time record low because it's been on a downward trend for about the past year now. I think that WWE needs to shake things up. Just having great matches on television isn't going to cut it. You need compelling storylines and interesting characters. You need solid sports entertainment. You need the combination of both. And the problem with WWE right now is that it's just wrestling matches. There's no real storyline development going on or real character development. It's just two guys going out there having matches, pay-per-views with matches. Yeah, it's great wrestling, but you need the soap opera aspect of it to really have a show that is appealing to the masses. And I think maybe right now you have a product that's very appealing to your indie fans, but to the people that like the Attitude Era and people that liked WWF during the golden years, I mean, it was all about the characters. And that is where WWE is weak right now, and the writing is not that strong. Do you think Ricochet will be in WWE? From Bailey. Yes, I do. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up in WWE within the next year or so. Ernie Acosta. Raw sucked. SmackDown was better this week. SmackDown has been better almost every week. I mean, except for the few weeks where Raw is a really big show, where they're loaded with either a Universal title match or there's something big going on. Almost every single week, SmackDown has consistently been the better show. And part of that is due to the fact that SmackDown is also a shorter show. 2 hours, no doubt, gives SmackDown an advantage. Brian asks, is there any hope for the Vaudevillains or the Ascension? Probably not. I think those two tag teams are just there to put over the other tag teams that are actually getting pushed in WWE. And I do not see them really going anywhere beyond just being enhancement talent. I mean, glorified enhancement talent at this point. Todd says, Chicago says, what's up, Aaron? Would love to see you come out sometime. I'm actually hoping to go to Chicago sometime soon, within the next year. I talked to Mike Nagel about that. Chicago's about 5 hours from Cleveland. I was hoping to, maybe on my next trip to see Mike, go to Chicago for a WWE pay-per-view and do a big NoDQ meetup there. The Cleveland meetup was awesome. I would like to thank the people that showed up for that. The meetups are always a lot of fun, and I think a Chicago one would be one for the record books. I know Chicago is one of the biggest WWE cities. Lots of NoDQ visitors are in Chicago, and I'm hoping to do something in Chicago, maybe the next big WWE pay-per-view event. We'll see what happens with that. That would be a lot of fun, no doubt. Joey asks, any chance for Bo to join Bray? He is showing a crazy side. That should have been done a long time ago. I think that Bo Dallas, when he grew out the beard a little bit, I think at that point he should have followed the Buzzards and joined up with his brother Bray and had been part of the Wyatt family. Now, I mean, I really don't care. Ernie Acosta asks, what's the worst WWE event you attended? I think a house show I went to in 2012, I got a free ticket. My friend actually had a suite that he had, and he invited me for that. But the show was terrible. I mean, Ryback just squashed a couple guys. The main event was Sheamus versus Del Rio in a street fight, and one of the lamest street fights you ever see. But at a house show, you cannot expect the guys to really go all out and do all sorts of crazy things because, it's not televised and the guys are going to be risking themselves too much when it's not really financially in their best interest to risk getting hurt at a house show. But I will say the house shows have improved. I went to a house show last December at the Forum in Los Angeles, and it was a better show, definitely a better show than the 2012 one. And the NXT show I went to in May was incredible. Martin asks, should WWE use Bayley? I just missed the question. The questions are coming in too quickly. Ashley asks, other than Nakamura and the TNA stars, who do you think could make it big from NXT? That's a great question. Looking at the NXT guys, besides Bobby Roode and Austin Aries, it's really hard to say who isn't from NXT right now, who I think will make it really big in WWE. I'm not so sure I can really make a solid prediction right now. Matthew Robinson, if I'm wrong to say the least WrestleMania was really boring. I think he's talking about WrestleMania 32. WrestleMania 32, was disappointing, but WrestleMania had set the bar so high with 30 and 31. I still thought 32 was a good show, just too damn long. That was really the biggest problem with WrestleMania. Clayton asks, would you see an Enzo and Cass versus New Age Outlaws? I doubt it. I think the Outlaws are done. They had their comeback, and that was it, and they moved on. And I think that Enzo and Cass will probably continue feuding with the current teams for a while, and then eventually it's looking like the big plan is for Cass to be on his own. But I'm not expecting to see New Age Outlaws come back just to face Enzo and Cass. Should SmackDown be 3 hours? Absolutely not. That would be a huge mistake. A 3-hour SmackDown would just be too much. There's already too much WWE television as it is. I have a hard time keeping up on things. Derek asks, will you watch Bound for Glory? Yes, I will watch it. Do the coverage for NoDQ.com as usual. Why? I don't know, but I will continue to try watching TNA. I've said this before in videos. I like the Broken Matt Hardy stuff. At least it's something different. And I hope TNA keeps trying to experiment and think outside the box and come up with different things. Brandon asks, do you think Seth Rollins will win the title? Or when do you see Seth winning the title? I think Kevin Owens will have it for a while. The fact that Finn Balor won it right away and then got hurt, I think that it's smart to have Kevin Owens be champion for a long period of time and really establish the title rather than changing the title right away. You want to have a really solid length of time for Kevin Owens to be champion and let him really establish the belt. Do you think WWE and Ring of Honor will have an interpromotional event? This comes from Rusty. Since ROH develops a lot of top guys for WWE. No, I do not see WWE working with ROH in that sort of fashion. Can Sasha and Bayley set the bar like Trish and Lita did? Absolutely. I think with several great matches and feuds between the two of them, if they're around and they can stay healthy for the next several years. I did get this question on the NoDQ video, which is currently up right now, about them. And yeah, I think that the two of them could very well be the next Lita and Trish as far as being the two women to really carry the division for an extended period of time. With Paige being... wait, I just missed the question. Sorry. These questions are coming in too fast, so I apologize. I apologize if I miss it. Clayton, do you see Roman winning the U.S. title clean? I could see it happening. Again, I think Kevin Owens is going to be champion for a while, and because of that, I could see Roman Reigns doing something else for the time being, and I guess WWE is continuing the feud with Rusev, which is fine. Whatever. Yeah, I could very well see Roman Reigns becoming champion. Would not surprise me at all. Chris says, will Bobby Roode be in the WWE by April 2017 by post-Mania? I would like to see that happen. I think that Joe is the next guy they will call up, and then Nakamura, and then Bobby Roode at that point. So I think maybe sometime in the middle of next year we'll see Bobby Roode on the main roster. All three of them should be there right now, but WWE is going to slowly roll out these guys one by one, and I think that will be the order. Mike says, best Hell in the Cell match of all time. First one. I mean, that is the one that really set the bar. You could say Mick Foley just went over that bar and did even more crazy antics. I mean, the first one with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, and then Mick Foley and Undertaker. Those two really set the bar so high that nobody else could really top it. What about Aries? Yeah, I think Austin Aries will be on the main roster soon. I could see him being the star of the Cruiserweight division and let him be the champion and let him be the heel champion that takes on all the challengers, all the babyface challengers. I think that would be a great way to utilize him as the Cruiserweight champion on Raw. From Clayton, do you think Daniel Bryan will bring Joe to SmackDown Live to face The Miz? I would like to see Joe do something bigger than The Miz. That's just my opinion. I would like to see Joe come in and be groomed for Brock Lesnar. That's how I feel Joe should be utilized. Just my opinion on that. Is NXT's popularity becoming a problem for WWE? Not really, because again, I think NXT has a specific audience. It's the most diehard indie wrestling fans that are watching NXT, and I really feel it's not making that much of a difference in terms of people losing interest in Raw and SmackDown. I think NXT, if anything, is making Raw and SmackDown better shows in terms of getting these guys more TV time, like Finn Balor and Samoa Joe, guys that maybe 5 years ago wouldn't have gotten the opportunities that they're getting right now. Who do you think has the better theme song? Nakamura? I missed it. Brian asks, what do you think Foley had in mind for Rollins' punishment? I have no idea, and I'm not even sure if there's going to be a follow-up to that. We still haven't heard from Triple H about why he helped Kevin Owens win the title, so I'm not confident we're even going to know if there's going to be a follow-up, if Seth Rollins will even get punished. I'm not sure if Rollins is a face or a heel. I mean, everything's so confusing right now, and it's not really clear what they're doing exactly. Harrison says, thoughts on Delete or Decay? I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't quite as spectacular as the first one. I mean, the first one is always going to set the bar really high, but, you know, sequels are never quite as good as the original. But it was still entertaining, and I applaud TNA for milking it for all it's worth. I mean, I did get a question about that, and I think TNA should milk it for all it's worth and keep doing these things and keep trying to be creative and come up with new ideas and concepts. Will they do anything with Neville? From Angel. I mean, what they're doing with him right now is what I think they're going to keep doing with him in the future. And as long as he's getting TV time and having somewhat of an impact, I think he'll be okay. I mean, he's not going to be the world champion. Again, not everybody can be the world champion. Some guys are going to be pushed. Some guys are not going to be pushed as much. But I could see Neville continuing to have a solid role in the company for several years to come if he stays healthy. Can you see Ambrose turning heel after No Mercy? I've gotten questions about that. Is Dean Ambrose a heel now after laying out John Cena? I'm not sure. I don't think so, because the way I saw it was that he was just taking out John Cena, who's one of his opponents, and making it clear there are no friends going into the pay-per-view. But he did get a lot of boos, and I thought that was interesting, considering how much fans have booed Cena in recent years. Or, what am I saying, recent years? Like a decade plus. So yeah, I think maybe we will see a Dean Ambrose heel turn. The fact that he got those boos, maybe WWE will follow up on that. Do you see Matt Morgan going back to TNA? You'd have to ask him. I don't know. I'm not sure he would want to go back to TNA at this point. What does it take to be a part of NoDQ? You all are part of NoDQ by watching this video. Is Dean Ambrose's character a victim of the PG era? I would say so, because when I think of Dean Ambrose's character, I think of Brian Pillman, and it is like a watered-down version of Pillman. And I do feel that maybe there are some handcuffs that are around Dean Ambrose, and maybe if he was not scripted as much, he could be a more intriguing character. J-Ro asks, does Andy Kaufman belong in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely 100%. I mean, if you're going to have a celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, Andy Kaufman should no doubt be in it. The stuff he did with Jerry Lawler was some of the most compelling celebrity involvement in wrestling history, in my opinion. I mean, they just had a tremendous feud, and the heat that Andy Kaufman got was just unreal. And I think 100% he should be in the Hall of Fame. Clayton asks, how do you feel about the Bray-Randy feud? It's okay, but I feel that it's not really doing anything for Bray Wyatt. I'm not expecting it to do anything for Bray Wyatt. It's just a guy for Randy Orton to feud with, and I think it's going to be a rebound for Randy Orton coming off of that loss to Brock Lesnar. Orton's going to need to be strong. Do you see Baron Corbin becoming WWE champion? No, do not see it happening. Again, not everybody can be champion, and there's probably half a dozen guys, if not more than that, that I would say are more suitable for being the champion than Baron Corbin. Do you think Harper will win another lower title in the near future when he comes back? I have no idea. I have no idea what they're going to do with Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper. I'm not sure if Luke Harper is going to be paired up with Bray again or if he's going to get a makeover. It's hard to say. I mean, once he comes back and it's clear what direction he's going in, then I could give you a better idea of what's going to happen with that. How many more matches do you think that The Undertaker could have left? I mean, if he only has to wrestle once a year, I could see him doing this for several years. Should he? Probably not, but if it's something he wants to do and he can go out there and perform at a high level, what people expect at WrestleMania, then yeah, I could see him doing it for a few more years. Do you think The Miz will get a WWE Championship push in the future? No, I do not. I think he's going to stay where he's at, and I think the days of him main eventing WrestleMania are over. It is what it is. WWE's always focusing on new guys, and it's very rare you see a guy get pushed to the top and then be pushed way down for several years and then all of a sudden get pushed back to the top. It almost never happens, so I'm not expecting it in this case. Same thing with Jack Swagger. I got asked just now about Swagger. Not expecting much from Swagger. I think this push will fizzle out in a couple weeks. Do you watch Lucha Underground? Haven't watched it since the second season premiere. Will Becky Lynch have a lengthy run as SmackDown Women's Champion? She should. I mean, she's the first SmackDown Women's Champion. And like I was talking about earlier with Owens, I think that since she's the first champion, you want to really establish the title and make the first title reign a memorable one. And the longer it is, the more memorable it'll be most likely, unless they totally screw it up and have her win by flukes or whatever. But if they give her a good solid run, it really gets the title started on a high note, and that's really important. What would you do next if you were CM Punk? I think if I was him, I would try to get another fight. I'm not expecting him to fight for UFC again. I think that it's more likely he will fight for Bellator, and if he can get a good deal to fight for them, I think he should do it. I think he should try and get as many fights in as possible and try to redeem himself. If I was CM Punk, I would do that. I'm expecting him to fight again. And, since everyone's here, I'll talk about the UFC event a little bit. I enjoyed it. I do not follow UFC, but I did enjoy the show. It was entertaining, watching people beating each other up for real, although usually I'm not a fan of that. I'm not really a fan of watching real-life violence. Now, I know there's all the sports-like appeal to it because it is two competitors getting in there. They spend months of training. But I'm just not a fan of seeing guys getting hurt for real. Yeah, it's a sport, but just not my cup of tea. I did enjoy the show, though, and I was disappointed about Punk. I really wanted to see him do better, just because I know how passionate he is about it, and it would have been a victory for the wrestling fans to see Punk really hold his own in there. But unfortunately, just wasn't to be. Let me see here. Do you think Rhino and Slater will drop the title soon since Rhino is running for Michigan? I'm not expecting them to be long-term champions, but again, they're the first SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and I think they need to have a solid reign as champions, but wouldn't surprise me if they lost it fairly soon. Of all the new champions, I think their reign will most likely be the shortest. Do you think Jake Roberts will return anytime soon? Return, you're talking about wrestling or just appearing? As far as appearing, really could happen at any time if there's the opportunity for him to come in, but not expecting him to wrestle or anything like that. What's up with Kurt Hawkins not debuting this week on SmackDown, even though it was promoted? Maybe not enough people care. Maybe WWE's waiting a few more weeks to see more people will care, and then they'll be disappointed that nobody cares, and then they'll just give up on him. I don't understand why they brought back Curt Hawkins of all people. I don't get it. Maybe he's willing to work very cheap. Same thing with Jinder Mahal. Just feels like filler. I mean, why bring these guys back and then you're not doing anything with them and you're giving them stupid gimmicks that are not going to go anywhere whatsoever. Chris asks, should WWE make it a storyline on screen of Triple H seizing total power and control from Vince? I'm kind of tired of the power struggle storylines, and especially yet another Triple H versus Vince storyline. I mean, it could very well happen. I mean, it would not surprise me to see that happen, but I'm tired of it. We've seen it time and time again. I'm not really a fan of it, but yeah, it could happen. Steven asks, thoughts on an American Alpha versus World's Greatest Tag Team match? Sure, that would be an awesome match. It would be, I guess, a dream match because both teams are similar. Maybe when Shelton comes back from his injury, maybe they can bring in Charlie Haas and do that match. I mean, if you're going to do a nostalgia match, like a past team versus a current team, that would certainly be a very good choice to have that match take place, maybe even at a WrestleMania. Sean asks, I agree about Curt Hawkins and Jinder. Hey, Aaron, will you grow your beard back? No. Do you have a dream match that has never happened in professional wrestling? Austin versus Goldberg. I mean, that was the biggest dream match I think that never happened, which I think I would have liked to have seen happen. Thoughts on WCPW? Haven't seen it. The facial hair on you rocks. I'm not sure what to make about people saying they like my facial hair, especially guys. Just saying. Derek says, give your predictions on the South Park Season 20 premiere. I know nothing about it, but I plan on checking it out when I can. I've heard a lot of good things about the preview, so we'll see what happens. I love South Park. I think that even after 20 seasons, they still are on more times than they are off, and as far as the humor goes. Taylor Young says, I know it's early, but who do you think will win the Royal Rumble? If he's ready in time, I think Finn Balor would be a good candidate to win the Royal Rumble. I would like to see a rising star win the Rumble. I'm tired of every year it's the established guy winning the Rumble. I would like to see somebody new win the Royal Rumble, like a Finn Balor or a Samoa Joe or Nakamura. One of those guys I would like to see win. But again, it is too early to really make a solid prediction. And who knows if Balor will be ready in time. I mean, it's not looking like he's going to be ready. But we'll see. You never know. They could play it up like John Cena and act like he's going to be gone for a long time when he's really right on the cusp of coming back. You never know. Do you think Regal and Tajiri were underrated? I loved the Regal and Tajiri pairing. I thought that they had a lot of chemistry together, and especially Tajiri and Austin. I mean, as much as I hated that Austin heel run, I did think Austin had some funny segments with Tajiri. I mean, Austin was great at the heel role, playing the cowardly heel. The problem was that it wasn't what the fans wanted to see. They wanted to see Stone Cold the ass kicker, not Stone Cold the cowardly heel that does comedy with people, even though Austin did a great job at it. Who do you want to win the Cruiserweight Classic? I really don't care. I think any of the guys would be suitable choices, and hopefully all of them end up on Raw as part of the Cruiserweight division. Hey Aaron, how did you start up NoDQ.com? That is a complicated question to answer. Not enough time here. I started off with a tripod page back in 1998. It was a free page, and got a domain name, www.wcw.com, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Lost the domain, got NoDQ.com, and it just kept growing. It's really a complicated question because there was a lot that it took to build up the site and a lot of different factors in terms of making it grow and getting it bigger. But yeah, just started off by doing a tripod page. Are they going to build Jinder Mahal? No. I think what he's doing now is what he's going to be doing until they give up on him. Since Paige is coming back to Raw, if you were in charge, how would you book her with the comeback? I don't know, because I'm not sure what the company has planned for her. I mean, I'm not sure how she feels, if she wants to be there, if the whole thing is awkward. I really don't know. If she wants to be there and WWE wants her to be there, then I would perhaps play up on the real life stuff and use it to elevate her and make her a bigger star than she's ever been before. But I'm not sure how long her relationship with WWE is going to last. I just don't know how she feels. I don't know how they feel. And the whole thing is a big question mark right now. Thoughts on the Kiss wrestler in WCW? It sucked. What do you think of the TNA Originals jumping ship? I'm thinking they got to do what they got to do. And, a few years ago, it wasn't as appealing because TNA was still paying good. But once TNA wasn't paying the wrestlers as much and guys were not making as much money and guys in NXT were starting to get bigger and bigger pushes, it became more appealing to take the NXT offer than it had been in the past. I mean, AJ had turned down going to WWE's developmental program a decade ago because he felt it was too beneath him. But, he was able to avoid NXT. He was able to come up and go straight to the main roster. But NXT has become such a big deal now that guys like Joe and Bobby Roode, they know that by going to NXT, it's only a matter of time before they get to the main roster. And, it's going to lead to bigger things for them most likely. It's not like they're going to developmental and just not having any kind of exposure and not going anywhere and no clear direction. A lot of these guys going into NXT are ending up on the main roster and becoming major stars. So it's very appealing now for guys to go to NXT and leave TNA. Who better than Kanyon? Nobody. Nobody better than Kanyon. Canyon's one of those really underrated guys that I feel just did not get the opportunities that he should have gotten. I mean, that guy was a great talent. Could you see Paige? I just missed it. Sorry. Should they move Paige to SmackDown, make her a heel, and challenge Becky? I would be fine with that if that resulted in Paige getting a bigger role in the women's division. Then yeah, I would definitely consider doing that. But for now, she's going to be on Raw, and who knows where that is going to lead. Do you think the Invasion would have been better if it happened during the Monday Night Wars? I think that the Invasion would have been better if WWE did it properly. It wasn't a matter of being in 1998 or 99. I mean, WCW was a dead brand, not like a TNA level dead brand, but WCW was very damaged. However, WWE, with their marketing and their promotion, they would have been able to make Goldberg a big deal. They would have been able to make Sting a big deal if they really committed to it, which they did not. Instead of focusing on building the WCW talent, they just wanted to prove a point that WCW was inferior to WWE in every way possible, and it was all about ego, and I think that's why it flopped so badly. Some guy said WWE is trash. Oh, it's Vinnie Mac. Gotta love Vinnie Mac. Let's see. Don't you think 19 pay-per-views is overkill? Yeah, it's quite a lot, and it's a lot of content to digest, but I will do it, and it is good for my site because the pay-per-view events generate more traffic to NoDQ.com, so I'm all for it. More work for me, but more work the better. So I'm not complaining too much about it. It is a little bit tough though with so much programming to keep up on it. Your thoughts on Canyon's DDP parody? It was great. That was one of those things about Canyon, doing the positively Canyon and hitting the Canyon cutter like in a parking lot on some guy. I mean, he was really funny. Canyon could do the comedy. He was a great wrestler, great bump taker. He sold the stunner really well, and he took that big bump off the triple tier cage at the Slamboree pay-per-view, which nobody remembers because WCW was going down the toilet. I mean, he did some crazy stuff and is pretty much forgotten about. I mean, that guy really deserved better, in my opinion. Canyon deserved better. Bigger cat lover, you or Tyson Kidd? I'm not sure. I mean, Natalya and Tyson love their cats, but I mean, I have a YouTube channel about cats, several viral videos, so I'm a little bit nuts, I have to say. Why WWE never did anything with the Power Rangers? I have no idea, but never count it out. I mean, maybe one day you'll have the Power Rangers guest hosting Raw. I mean, not something I'm personally looking forward to. I might get some heat for this, but I was never a Power Rangers fan. Not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people are obsessed with it. Maybe one day. WWE is very good at bringing in somebody once the trend is long gone. I mean, the Power Rangers were popular in the 90s. So yeah, Vince McMahon might one day finally discover the Power Rangers and say, oh my God, these guys are so cool. Let's put them on Monday Night Raw as the guest hosts. Wouldn't shock me. Did Nash defeating Goldberg start the end of WCW? There's been so much debate about WCW, what caused the end, if there was really a single moment. There really wasn't. It wasn't one moment that led to WCW's demise. But if I had to say one, oh, Mike Bombert's here. What's up, Mike? If there was one moment, I think, that really signaled the downfall of WCW, it was Starrcade 97, when they totally botched the main event of their biggest pay-per-view ever, Sting and Hogan, 16 months build-up, and they totally screw up the finish. That was a sign that WCW was going downhill, and it took a while. It took about a year and a half before things really started to collapse financially for WCW. But to me, that was the moment when the Titanic hit the iceberg. Who's your favorite wrestler presently? Sami Zayn. I'm a big Sami Zayn guy. Going back to PWG, he was always one of my favorites in PWG. When I would go to the PWG shows, El Generico almost always had the best match of the night. And he was killing it. And I'm so happy he made it in WWE and is doing well. I mean, he's had 3 Match of the Year candidates, and he might even have more if he's actually given the opportunity. It seems like they're kind of not really pushing him like they should be, even though he's delivering on a nightly basis. So he's one of those guys that's getting over more than he's supposed to. Some guys said UFC sucks. Not my cup of tea, but I did enjoy the UFC show. Favorite bra and panties match? I don't know. The one with Deborah. I'm not sure. Patrick asks, Goldberg-Cena feud. Your thoughts? That would be an interesting match, but I think if Goldberg comes in for one more match, it'll most likely be against Brock, just so they can redeem themselves from WrestleMania 20. But you could possibly see that. I mean, if Goldberg was going to do one more match besides Lesnar, then maybe Cena would be a suitable match for a future pay-per-view. Is New Day burning out? From Dylan. I would say so. I think the New Day has kind of gotten stale, and I'm sure New Day will tweet out that all of us are being sour, all of us that are criticizing them. This is why we can't have nice things, all the usual Big E stuff. I don't know, it just feels like they're not really doing anything innovative or anything outside the box. When the New Day was getting hot, they were just going out there and doing one entertaining thing after another, and every week coming up with some new gimmick or catchphrase or concept. And now they're just resting on their laurels. They're going out there and doing the same routine every single week. And yeah, it is getting old a little bit. AJ Styles versus Nakamura at WrestleMania 33. I'm all for it. Do you have a favorite Cesaro match? The one where he swings people. Thoughts on WWE never giving Bubba Ray a singles run during that last year? That is still something that really confuses me. Why WWE did not have Bully Ray, or at least a similar character, come in and have a singles run. It seemed like they were building up towards a Dudley Boyz split, and I guess the idea was that they were going to stick around and sign a new deal, and for whatever reason, things fell apart. So yeah, it's disappointing. I think maybe Bubba could have had a decent run as a single star, but it doesn't really surprise me because, again, Bully Ray was not a WWE creation, and I think that if they had gone with a Bubba Ray singles run, they would have done something different from Bully Ray, just because they don't want to copy TNA and it's not a WWE creation. Do you think Jericho is at his best, funniest? I mean, it's very arguable. I mean, some people would say that the 2008-2009 Suit Jericho was the best, but I mean, right now he's doing some of his best stuff of his entire career. It's just a matter of what your taste is, but Jericho's really stepped it up this past year, for sure. Should someone go over versus Brock this year? I think it should be Joe, WrestleMania 33. That's how I would do it, at least. Build up Joe for Brock Lesnar and have Joe be the guy that beat the guy. Have Joe beat the guy that beat the Undertaker's streak, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, Jeff Meacham just joined in. Noah is salty because you're direct competition. Hey, we all love competition. Competition is good for the business. Bubba Ray Dudley had a singles run in early 2002. That is correct, he did. Will Rock versus Triple H end up happening? Possibly. I mean, It all depends on The Rock's schedule and who's available at the time. I mean, that was at one time a planned match for WrestleMania, so it very well could happen at some point. Thank you, Jeff, for tuning in. Actually got Mike Nagel in here, Jeff Meacham. Actually got a lot of Noah's viewers in here, which is hilarious. I mean, not trying to sabotage Noah's show. Just Wednesday afternoon at 4:30, 5 o'clock is a good time for me to be coming on here. Just a total coincidence. How would you book a Sammy match with Kurt? I'm not even sure what that question was. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to talk about a few more topics here and then wrap this up. Like I said earlier, amazing trip to Cleveland. Oh, David Payne. Awesome meeting you, David. Thank you for coming out for the NoDQ.com meetup. Great time going to the Cleveland Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Which former guy would you like to see make an appearance at the Royal Rumble? That is an interesting question. I'm not really sure at this point. I cannot think off the top of my head who I would like to see. Who would you guys like to see from the past make an appearance at the Royal Rumble? I guess maybe Jeff Hardy if he's available. Maybe Matt Hardy. Maybe Broken Matt Hardy. You know what sucks? I do not think we would see Broken Matt Hardy in WWE. Again, because it's not WWE's creation. I think if we ever see Matt or Jeff Hardy again in WWE, it'll be the Hardy Boys. They'll come in as their old tag team and just doing the normal Hardy Boys routine without the wacky Broken Matt and Brother Nero stuff that they're doing in TNA. But it would be kind of fun to see Broken Matt in a WWE ring. I would find that to be very entertaining. Somebody said Kurt Angle. I mean, yeah, duh. Kurt Angle would be like the choice. Imagine the pop that guy would get if he showed up as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. The place would just come unglued because there's no way he wouldn't get a big reaction at the Rumble because the Rumble is usually held at a major city with your most diehard fans. And you saw the pop AJ got when he showed up at the Rumble. The roof would just blow off of that arena if Kurt Angle showed up. It would be an all-time classic moment. Jeff Hardy having another singles run. Thing is, I'm not expecting that. I think if Jeff Hardy comes back to WWE, it will be Matt and Jeff together as the Hardy Boys, going into the Hall of Fame and doing all that. I mean, Jeff was a pretty big star on his own, so I would not rule it out, but I think as far as them coming back, they would be a nostalgia act at this point, and their biggest value would be as the Hardy Boys. That's just how I see it. Riff Darrenson making a surprise appearance in the Royal Rumble. Never say never. I'm working on it. Sorry for the spoiler, guys. Do you think John Cena will break Ric Flair's record? Yes, I do. Would not shock me at all to see it happen. Joe versus Daniels versus Styles, best match of 2005 from Unbreakable. That was one of the best TNA matches of all time, and it has that reputation, and it's rightfully deserved. Just about as close to a perfect match as you could ask for. Those three guys totally tore it up. I would absolutely 100% recommend it if you haven't seen it before. All right, that'll wrap things up for this video. I would like to thank you all for tuning in. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all the support. And check out the on-demand version on the NoDQ.com channel. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. Watch the latest NoDQ&A video on the channel, youtube.com/AaronRiffNoDQ. And make sure you check out my personal YouTube page. Just posted a Niagara Falls video at youtube.com/AaronRiff. Again, thank you all so much, and I will see you guys next time.